On a chilly, overcast afternoon in Cincinnati, J.D. Vance was walking down a busy street, lost in his own thoughts as a cool wind brushed past him. The city was alive with movement, people hurrying by, cars passing slowly, and a quiet murmur of everyday life that filled the air. J.D. had always been known from television and the headlines, yet today he was just another man in the crowd. As he strolled along the cracked pavement, a soft voice broke through the hum of the city. A thin, weathered man with tired eyes stood a few steps away and asked in a low, uncertain tone, "Can you spare $1?" J.D. paused. The man, whose name would soon be known as Eddie, had a face that told a long, painful story, a story of lost chances, hard times, and days filled with struggle. His clothes were worn and mismatched, and his eyes held a deep sadness that spoke of long nights on cold streets. J.D. was used to seeing people ask for small favors on busy days, and usually would simply nod or walk on without a second thought. But there was something different about Eddie. The man's voice was gentle, almost pleading, and it made J.D. slow down and listen. "Hey, what's your name?" J.D. asked softly. Eddie blinked, startled by the sudden question that was not part of the usual routine of a hurried request. After a moment of hesitation, he answered in a quiet voice, "I'm Eddie." In that brief moment, the busy street seemed to quiet around them, and the noise of passing cars and chattering pedestrians faded into the background. J.D. could see the fatigue in Eddie's eyes and felt an unfamiliar tug of empathy. He knew that behind the simple request for $1 lay a deeper pain, a story of loss and missed opportunities. As they began to talk, Eddie revealed that not long ago he had worked as a plumber. He had fixed pipes and helped people with their homes. But life, with all its sudden twists, had left him without a steady job and eventually without a home. Eddie's voice wavered as he told J.D. about the long nights spent in shelters, the cold mornings on the streets, and the constant rejection he had faced whenever he tried to find work. J.D. listened carefully, feeling every word as if it were a part of his own story. It was clear that Eddie was not asking for pity. He was simply asking for a chance, a small way to change the course of his life. Like, "Comment and subscribe," J.D. said with a gentle smile that broke through the tension, almost as if to remind everyone nearby that sometimes small acts of kindness can light up even the darkest days. J.D.'s heart was heavy with memories of his own struggles and the times he had felt lost. He recalled moments from his youth when hope seemed distant and the world seemed unkind. Now, as he stood in the middle of the busy street, he knew he could not offer Eddie $1 that would truly make a difference. Instead, he decided to do something far more meaningful. "Eddie," J.D. said quietly, "I want to help you get back on your feet. I have something that might give you a real chance." Eddie looked at J.D. with wide, uncertain eyes. He had heard promises before, words that faded into nothingness as quickly as they had been spoken. "I don't need your pity," Eddie muttered, his voice edged with both pride and sorrow. "I just need a way out of here." J.D. reached into his pocket and slowly pulled out a small folded piece of paper. "This isn't money," he explained, "but it is a chance. It has a phone number for a man who runs a contracting business in Dayton. He is known for giving people like you a real shot at a job. I believe this might be the break you've been waiting for." A small group of onlookers had gathered, their curious eyes fixed on the unusual scene unfolding on the street. Some whispered to each other in disbelief, while others watched in silence, caught up in the raw emotion of the moment. Eddie's hands trembled as he reached out to take the piece of paper. For him, it felt like holding a fragile promise, a lifeline that might lift him out of a cycle of despair. But what if it doesn't work? Eddie asked, his voice barely audible as he stared at the paper. "I've been given chances before, and they always turn into empty words and broken dreams." J.D.'s eyes softened as he replied, "I know what it feels like to have your hopes dashed. That's why I'm not just giving you a number. I want you to have a way to reach out if things go wrong." From his pocket, J.D. then produced a small black burner phone and held out to Eddie. "This is for you. If you go to the job and it doesn't work out, call me. I will help you find another opportunity. I want you to know that someone cares and that you deserve a second chance." The street seemed to hold its breath as Eddie took the phone and the paper, his eyes filling with both hope and fear. The murmurs in the crowd grew louder. Some voices were skeptical, while others were touched by the genuine compassion of the moment. A man nearby scoffed, "You asked for $1, not a job. What's this, a stunt?" But J.D. remained calm, his expression steady as he said, "I believe that $1 won't fix your life, but chance will. Sometimes, a small gesture can lead to a big change." In that moment, the city around them appeared to pause. The tension in the air was broken only by a soft, almost reverent silence as Eddie's eyes searched J.D.'s face for any hint of doubt. Finally, Eddie's voice broke through the quiet, shaky yet determined. I'll try. I'll call you if I need help," he said, his words filled with both hope and a deep-seated fear of failure. J.D. nodded, giving him a warm, reassuring smile. "That's all I ask," he replied gently. "Take this as your first step. It won't be easy, but you have to believe that you deserve better." At that point, J.D. leaned in and said quietly, "Comment and subscribe," as if reminding everyone present that even in hard times, sharing a kind word or a gesture can make a big difference. The phrase, spoken in a tone that blended sincerity with a touch of light-hearted encouragement, seemed to hang in the air as another reminder that hope and community could be found even in the midst of everyday struggles. Eddie clutched the phone and the paper tightly, his heart pounding with the weight of this unexpected offer. He remembered days when he had been turned away at shelters, when he had been told that he was not worthy of help. Now, faced with this tangible offer of chance, he felt a stirring deep inside, a small, almost fragile spark of possibility. "I used to be a plumber," Eddie said softly, the words coming out like confession. "I fixed things for people, made sure everything worked. But then I lost my way, and now I'm here." His voice trembled with both regret and longing for what once was. J.D. listened carefully, nodding as he remembered his own past, a time when every day was a struggle to keep hope alive. "Sometimes life knocks us down," J.D. said, "and it's hard to get back up, but every day is a new chance. This is your chance, Eddie. Don't let it slip away." The words were simple but carried a depth of feeling that resonated in the cool afternoon air. The small group of onlookers, previously murmuring among themselves, now fell silent as if each person was pondering their own chances, their own moments when a little help had made all the difference. One woman in the crowd wiped away a tear, and another man nodded in agreement, clearly moved by the unexpected kindness unfolding before them. In that moment, the busy street became a small stage for hope and renewal, a place where a simple act of care could change the course of someone's life. Eddie's eyes darted around, taking the faces of the crowd, some curious, some skeptical, and some full of quiet support. He could feel the weight of their judgment, the unspoken question of whether he was truly ready to accept help. But then his eyes met J.D.'s steady, encouraging gaze, and he found the courage to speak again. "I'm scared," Eddie admitted quietly. "What if I fail? What if this is just another empty promise?" J.D.'s response was calm and kind. "I understand your fear, Eddie, but sometimes you have to take a step into the unknown. That step might be hard, and there might be bumps along the way, but it is the only way to change things. I'm here for you, and I believe in you." With that, Eddie took a deep breath and nodded slowly. He tucked the piece of paper and the phone safely into his worn jacket, as if he were holding a fragile treasure. The moment felt both heavy and uplifting, a turning point that neither of them would forget. As the crowd began to disperse, whispers of approval and encouragement floated through the air. In a soft voice that carried both hope and a touch of humor, J.D. murmured, "And remember, comment and subscribe," almost as if to remind everyone that even small acts of kindness deserve to be shared and celebrated. In the hours that followed, the city returned to its usual rhythm. But for Eddie, the day had taken on a new meaning. Every step he took now felt different, as if he were walking on a path that led away from the life of despair he had known for so long. The memory of J.D.'s gentle words and the tangible gift of a chance stayed with him, a beacon of hope in a world that often seemed dark and unkind. Every time he felt doubt creeping in, Eddie would think back to that moment on the sidewalk, a moment when a stranger saw him not as just another homeless man, but as a person worthy of hope and a fresh start. Over the next few days, Eddie found the strength to reach out. He dialed the number on the paper with shaking hands, each ring echoing the promise of a new beginning. The man on the other end answered warmly, inviting Eddie to come in and discuss the job. As Eddie walked into the modest office of the contracting business, he felt a mixture of nervousness and excitement. The promise of work, of rebuilding his life, was finally within reach. Every small step felt like a giant leap forward, and with each passing day, Eddie began to see a way out of the darkness that had long surrounded him. JD's act of kindness had rippled through Eddie's life. And before long, word of the small miracle on the street began to spread quietly among those who had witnessed it. People talked about how one kind gesture could change everything, and the simple phrase like comment and subscribe became a quiet reminder that sharing hope was as important as any grand promise. Eddie worked hard, learning new skills and slowly regaining his confidence. With time, he even managed to save a little money, something he never thought possible in his years of struggle. His journey was not without setbacks, but every challenge became a lesson, and every setback was met with a determination to keep moving forward. Late one evening, as Eddie sat by a small window in his new, modest apartment, he recalled that fateful day on the street. The memory of JD's kind eyes, the weight of the paper in his hand, and the soft, encouraging voice that had spoken to him still shone brightly in his mind. "I'm not asking for a miracle," Eddie whispered to himself, "just a chance to be seen, to be heard, and to be helped." The thought brought a small smile to his face as he remembered JD's final words before they parted ways, a simple message that carried more meaning than all the money in the world. Sometimes, a little help is all you need to find your way back. That evening, Eddie picked up a pen and wrote down his own story, determined to share his journey with others who might be caught in the same cycle of despair. He wanted them to know that help could come in the most unexpected ways, and that sometimes all it took was one kind person to change everything. As he finished writing, he looked out the window and softly repeated the words that had been woven into the fabric of that day, like comment and subscribe. It was a reminder that life was meant to be shared, that every small act of kindness deserved to be celebrated, and that hope was something that grew stronger the more it was passed on. In the days and weeks that followed, Eddie continued to rebuild his life. He faced challenges and setbacks, but he also discovered a resilience he never knew he had. With the steady support of the people who believed in him, and with the memory of that unexpected encounter guiding him, Eddie slowly stepped into a brighter future. The simple act of kindness from a stranger had opened a door, and now, with each new day, he was determined to walk through it. And in the quiet moments when doubt crept in, he would remember that on a chilly afternoon in Cincinnati, a kind man had offered him more than just $1. He had given him a chance, a real chance to change his life. As Eddie embraced his new path, he also began to share his story with others. He visited community centers, talked to local groups, and even volunteered to help others who were struggling just as he once had. His message was always simple and clear. Every person matters, and sometimes all it takes is a small gesture of kindness to start a journey toward a better life. And at the heart of his message, Eddie never forgot to say, like, comment and subscribe, a phrase that had become a symbol of hope, connection, and the power of sharing one story. In time, Eddie's life blossomed in ways he had never imagined. He found steady work, made new friends, and slowly rebuilt the life he had lost. The memory of that day on the street remained with him as a constant reminder that help can come unexpectedly, and that sometimes the smallest act of kindness can change the world. Though life will continue to bring its challenges, Eddie faced each day with renewed strength and a deep gratitude for the chance he had been given. And so, the busy streets of Cincinnati, the quiet corners of a modest office, and the gentle murmur of everyday life all carried within them the echo of one simple truth, that every person deserves to be seen, to be heard, and have a chance at a new beginning. In a world that often feels cold and unyielding, sometimes all it takes is one kind word, one small gesture, and a willingness to reach out to someone in need. Like, comment and subscribe, Eddie would say with a knowing smile, sharing not just his journey, but a message of hope for everyone who might one day need it.